Heights City Council to order. Please stand with me for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for the invocation. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dear God, please bless our elected officials. Grant them courage and wisdom to do what is right for all citizens. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you. Ms. Riska, could we please have the roll call tonight?
Mayor Taylor, Mrs. Sarowski,
Here.
Mr. Myjack,
Here.
Mr. Radke,
Present.
Mrs. Schmidt,
Present.
Mr. Yanes,
Here.
Mrs. Yarko.
Present. Thank you, Ms. Riska. And just for all of you who may be wondering where Mayor Taylor is today, he is on vacation, and I am sure he is watching somewhere from his tropical paradise, making sure everything goes the way he wants. Okay, next is the approval of the agenda. Council, we need approval for tonight's agenda.
Mayor Pro Tem Sarowski.
Yes, Mrs. Zarko.
Move to approve the agenda as presented.
Support.
Thank you. It has been moved and supported. Is there any discussion?
Mrs. Sarowski,
Yes, Mayor, excuse me, Mr. Radke.
I'd like to move the, item H from the consent agenda to make it consideration item B.
Of AB,
So H to, consent H to
8B.
consideration B.
8B. Okay. All right,
8B, I'm
so,
sorry, yes.
Thank you. So what has been requested that we are going to move consent agenda item H to 8B. And that will be fine. Okay, thank you so much. All right, now,
You gotta vote. Call the question.
call the question? Yes. On the moving of it?
The motion was
The motion
To approve. Okay,
motion to approve.
okay, so sorry.
Supported.
It's been,
So I think, yeah, we're ready for a vote.
all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. All right, then we're now moving on to city manager's report. We have our new assistant city manager, Haley Bradley, here tonight, and she's going to give our city manager report. Thank you, Ms. Bradley.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Sarowski. Just a few things to highlight. We'll start it off with a presentation from the Sterling Heights Drug-Free Coalition. I'd like to introduce Lieutenant Aaron Susala to come up and kind of kick that off. They're here to talk about Kratom and how it is affecting the community. So I'll turn it over.
Thank you all. We're going to do it as a group. So here we have Elizabeth.
Hi, my name is Elizabeth Capolo. I'm the program coordinator for the Sterling Heights Drug-Free Coalition.
I'm Lauren Letzman. I'm the Project Fox coordinator for Macomb County.
And we have a PowerPoint that should be up.
Should we be over there?
No, you're fine.
Okay.
You're fine where you are. It's coming. There we go.
So we just introduced ourselves. I think, can we?
There should be a.
Clicker.
There we are. All right. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to speak today. Project Fox is a grassroots, advocacy group where we educate society on substance use disorder and substance use related community concerns. We reduce the stigma attached to substance use disorders, and we advocate for equitable treatment for those who have substance use disorder.
So here at the coalition, we look to educate, collaborate, and advocate to create an environment that's safe of substance misuse. The coalition's goal is to empower the youth and the adults living in Sterling Heights to reduce the use of drugs and alcohol in our community.
Our intention as a substance use prevention provider is to protect the health and well-being of the community. We educate residents, communities on dangers related to substance use disorders so they can have clear, relevant, and accurate information on potential dangers. Our focus remains with reducing youth access to substance use. And we really try to address that through community norms, the risks associated with substance use and just overall access to substance use disorder or substance use.
So our concerns are that perception and the risk and the access of it. So we look to educate the community, and we work at diligently doing that. When something is visible and accessible in the community, it starts to feel normal. Increased visibility plus increased availability leads to normalization. And when something feels normal, people tend to perceive that it is lower risk. At the same time, availability also means access and exposure. Especially when it comes to young people, the easier something is to obtain, the more likely that they are to use it earlier, or to use it more often. Inconsistent labeling also means that the community may not know what they're putting in their bodies.
So just some kratom basics. I know the last time we were here, we spoke a bit about this, but kratom is a evergreen tree. It grows, it's a part of the coffee family, and it grows in Southeast Asia, the Philippines, and New Guinea. In small doses, it acts like a stimulant, and in large doses, it acts like a sedative and has analgesic properties. It does act on the same opioid receptors in the brain that opioids do. There is a natural component of the kratom plant, that is 7-OH, and typically in kratom samples, it's anywhere from none at all to 0.07% of a plant. But we're now starting to see this as concentrated synthetic forms, where they're taking the natural compounds and concentrating those. And that's approximately 13 times more potent than morphine. It's approximately 46 times more potent than what's in the metrogenine plant, but it's being marketed simply as kratom. There have been clear publications from the FDA noting the dangers and sort of alluding to potential action by the federal government, which has not happened. We're seeing a lot of data gaps with a lot of the resources we use for data with our prevention work. Questions on the MiFi or Monitoring the Future, which are sort of the two big surveys that they give adolescents, don't have questions attributed to kratom. And adult use is largely self-reported. It's not part of a standard urinary drug screen that somebody would get, whether they're in the hospital or part of probation or things like that. But we are seeing that the adolescent population is starting to use kratom. House Bill 4969, it was introduced in September, and it was voted out of committee in November with some recommendations to it, but since then it hasn't made any movement. It does have a lot of support through different House members that I've talked to within Macomb County, but it would establish age restrictions on kratom to be 21 years in age and older. There would be a licensing piece to that through LARA. It would require testing, potency standards. It would establish labeling requirements and a health and safety warning for that. It would apply both to in-person and online sales. And then it would prohibit products that are sort of those synthetic derivatives that we're seeing coming out, the 7-OH, and there are a few other that are much less popular but are still out and available in our market. In Macomb County, Clinton Township did pass an ordinance, and it was adopted in January. That ordinance, excuse me, would put in that age requirement for kratom to be sold only to people 21 and older with a valid ID. It also specifies what kratom refers to, so that would also include the synthetic derivatives, the 7-OH and other products. And then there would be required signage for purveyors to post. And if there were any infractions of this, it would be a $500 civil infraction.
So what we did in Sterling Heights was conduct environmental scans. We conducted 71 scans in the city of Sterling Heights from November 2025 into January 2026, and these were at a mix of locations, so convenience stores, tobacco or vape shops, gas stations, and grocery stores. During an environmental scan, what we look for are the substances that are being sold. So in this case, we focused on looking for kratom products. We looked at the location and proximity. Or outside of the building, the visibility of substances, whether they're self-serve, whether the retailer has age-restrictive signage or potency information. And we're also looking at how close.
One second.
Go ahead. We surveyed 71 locations, like I said, through Sterling Heights in the zip codes 48310, 48312, 48313, and 48314. 28 of these 71 retailers sold kratom, which works out to be about 40% of retailers. 96% of the retailers who sold kratom or 7-OH products displayed them in ways that made them easily visible or accessible to customers. So we saw them typically next to the register. In some stores, they were placed near candy, popular kids' toys, or alongside regular energy drinks that don't contain kratom. And we'll see in this example why that could be an issue. So this is an example of a display that we saw in Sterling Heights. In this store, this display was near one of the registers, so you have to see it as you check out. All of the products in this picture, whether it's the capsules or the bottles of liquid, are kratom or 7-OH products. First, when I look at this, I notice the 3 shelves of the Dozo Perks brand. Those are kratom products. If you look around in this picture, you'll also notice that it is placed next to alcohol, so it's near other substances. On the bottom of this picture, you'll notice that you'll notice that there are limited edition chocolates. So those are being sold next to these kratom or 7-OH products. And then if you look to the top right of the photo, you'll see the packaging of a kid's toy. I believe I mentioned this at the last city council meeting we spoke at. Those are those popular Labubu toys. So that's being sold right next to these kratom or 7-OH products. Moving down the right side of the picture, there are bottles by the name brand Popular Wild. They're kind of cut off. Those are actual energy drinks that do not contain kratom. I think this is important to note because it may mislead community members into perceiving kratom products as comparable to non-kratom beverages, as we often see kratom marketed as a natural and herbal energy and mood booster. Also, the dark blue bottles that say feel free, that is a 7-OH product, and that case is open, so that is a self-serve display on the counter. This is another example of what we see in a store. It was displayed behind the register, so there is a barrier there. However, it is still near other substances, and it's very visible to customers. We saw this product a lot come up during our environmental scans, this Relax Aid product. It's a 7-OH product. The front of this packaging, as you can see, only states that the capsules are dietary supplements, and on the front there is no mention of kratom or 7-OH. This product was also in the checkout line, and it was self-serve. In this example, again, you can see that kratom products are self-serve, and this store, they were right next to the cash register. So if you were checking out, if you were buying anything, you had to see them or look, you had the option to buy them if you needed to.
And a lot of the kratom products that we're seeing now do very much replicate regular candy products that you're probably familiar with, whether they're Lemon Heads, Bubble Yum, Smurfs. And we're seeing that as a trend and that being marketed towards a more youthful demographic than perhaps adults. And it's of particular interest to us With the Cannabis Regulatory Agency, they have a lot of restrictions on how things can be marketed and how things can be packaged. And without any type of packaging or labeling requirements as Kratom stands now, you know, we could possibly be appealing to youth with these packaging. And that's something that we'd like to avoid by protecting the youth and these type of marketing tactics.
So in closing, just like to thank you all for your ear and your time tonight, and also for your continued support from the council, the city attorney, who's also the vice president of the coalition, and the entire administration. So I know that a lot of you, or all of you council members are members. We've seen you at events. So it would not be possible for all of the work that we have done without your continued support. So thank you again for your time and helping to make this community as great as it is. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lieutenant Sisal. Before we continue with the city manager's report, because this is such an interesting topic, is there anyone on council that would like to ask questions or have any comments?
Madam Mayor Pro Tem?
Mayor, it's going to be that today all day long.
I like that. That's good. Keep that.
Mr. Radke.
Thank you, Madam Mayor Pro Tem. Just briefly, through the chair to the city attorney, have you examined the ordinance that was passed in Clinton Township and some of these other ones from around the state?
There's only,
Yes, please.
and Councilman Radke, there's really only one that's been passed, and that is Clinton Township's.
Okay. I guess, I don't want to jump in front of the council, but I would argue that I would like to see a draft of a possible ordinance here in Sterling Heights. I think they've made their case, that this is looking like candy. It's being placed on racks where kids could access it. And I'll be honest, I don't buy and use supplements from the party store, but it's crazy that some people do. And I want to make sure that we're limiting this to adults. I don't want to ban it. I just want to make sure that we're limiting it to adults and hopefully preventing children from possibly trying these substances. So I would, without objection, ask for a draft of an ordinance to be brought forward so that we could examine this.
Council, any concerns?
Oh,
I have
no,
none
no
myself,
problem.
So I think you have enough. Do you have enough to go on so far?
Absolutely.
Okay, great.
That's all I have, Madam Mayor
Okay.
Pro Tem.
Thank you very much, Mr. Radke. Anyone else? Yes, Mr. Yanis.
Thank you, Madam Mayor Pro Tem. I'm just curious as if you canvassed any of the hospitals and gotten any statistics on emergency room visits due to kratom.
So through CARE Southeastern Michigan, we do have peer recovery coaches who work in 3 area Macomb County hospitals, Henry Ford at 19 in Garfield, Henry Ford Ascension at 12 in Hoover, I think it is now, and McLaren and Mount Clemens. And they have seen an uptick in patients coming in that are using kratom, and they're also seeing an uptick in patients who are solely using kratom, so not in combination with other substances.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Yanis. And Mrs. Yarko.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. My question is, and if this would be through the chair to our city attorney, for drawing up this ordinance, I noticed that the fines for Clinton Township were $500 per offense. I would like to see ours escalate, $500 for the first offense, and then escalate after that for the second and third, or however many, and then see what we come up with, for a penalty for a frequent, offender. And then through the chair to Lieutenant Susala, is this going to be easy to enforce? Because we can put all the rules in place, but I want to know how we're going to enforce them.
For sure. To answer your question, we have already discussed how to enforce it. We will work with our different units. We have our police explorers who are on hand where we have done similar, we'll call them stings. So we're well versed in that. So to answer your question, yes, it will be easily enforced, and it is something that we already have in place to do so.
Okay, thank you. Nothing further.
Thank you, Mrs. Yarko. Anybody else?
Mayor Pro Tem?
Thank you.
Thank you. Just a couple of comments. As far as enforcement, I don't think it would be any more difficult than enforcing minors buying cigarettes or alcohol.
So, you know, I'm sure there's sting activities put into place to do that. So, or whatever, is that old school? Sorry. I'm old. And you know what, for the first time this week, I actually saw a festoon flag in Sterling Heights advertising the product. So that was disturbing to me too. So maybe we can look at something like that as part of our ordinance as well. Just a
Shouldn't
thought.
have festoon flags in Sterling Heights.
I will give you the information after the meeting. I know the festoon saga, so, but nothing further. I'm in full support of this. I see no issues at all.
Thank you, Mrs. Schmidt. Well, then, you don't want to see, Rob, you're good? Okay, just giving him a chance. So thank you, all three of you, for coming, Lieutenant Sisala, Elizabeth Capola, and Lauren Litzman. I've seen this both by my experience in hospitals with other people that I know, and it is a very insidious substance. People don't know that it is so dangerous. They don't know what it can be like until they can get hooked on it like an opioid. And then to come off of it, you're crashing like you're going off of an opioid. So it is a very insidious and very damaging item that's out there. Scary that they do mimic in advertising with candies. That's something I hadn't seen, but I can see how that could happen. And yet kids, if there's no age limit, they cannot stop them from buying it. So that's why I think, and I absolutely agree, that was going to be something I requested. So I appreciate the council support as well, that this is something I think that we need to get ahead of and get in front of. I do have a question to Mr. Koszubski. If you could tell us exactly what you know about where that House bill is.
Sure. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. The House bill is currently been referred out for second reading to the full House. As of late last month, it came out of the House Regulatory Reform Committee with a recommendation. There were a couple agencies that recommended against the bill, but the majority of them recommended for approval. So I'd actually defer this to Councilman Yanez and the time after a second reading, how long it might take to get through. But
That's up to the speaker.
but there seems to be broad bipartisan support for this. And if this does pass the way it's looking, your convenience stores and your gas stations will not likely be able to sell it anymore. It'll be a licensed product for licensed to be sold. So the hope is that happens, but it is the main part of the ordinance that we're talking about. Drafting would be to limit it under 21 years of age, which is exactly what the state is looking to do either way. So it would be consistent.
And thank you very much. I think that if we could get ahead of it and start that 21, if it does take some time in the House, I'm all in favor of that. So I really appreciate all of this. This isn't a motion, so we're just talking. So thank you all for your input. And Ms. Bradley, and thank you all for coming and very much for your support. I'm sure that we'll be contacting you again for more information. Thank you. Ms. Bradley, go right ahead.
Yes, thank you. And then next, I would like to have Community Relations Director Melanie Davis speak on an exciting project that Community Relations is working with Utica Community Schools.
Thank you, and thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Sarowski, members of council, Ms. Bradley, Mr. Koszubski, for the opportunity. I just have a quick update on an exciting project that we're partnering with Utica Community Schools on. Most of you are probably aware of the Utica Community Schools Art Fair that happens every spring. This year, we are again hosting that at our community center from May 12th through the 14th. It runs daily from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. over at the community center. I think the community center, they've been hosting it over there for the past several years. I think it provides them a nice central location, but also a space that's large enough, because I'm told that they have upwards of 5,000 pieces of art that they display as a part of that art fair every year. The exciting and new thing for this year, as it relates to some public art in our community, is that they would like to partner with us and include some of the student work that's been submitted and get those pieces printed on the roadside banners that go on the street poles that line Utica and Dodge Park Road. And we're also looking into the ability to do that on the banners that are on the side of the community center as well. So I was approached by their communications director, Tim McAvoy, a couple weeks ago about this. And so we've been investigating the specs and the dimensions and the pricing and all that. And I think we're in lockstep and ready to go. So we're very excited about that, and that'll be something that we plan for this year's spring art fair in May. One last thing is that when those banners come down, they'll be up for probably 3 to 4 weeks leading up to and including the week of the art fair. And then afterwards, those come down, but we have plans to put our 250th American anniversary banners up, and those would be up and stay up for the rest of this year, rest of 2026. So thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And council, you may have received questions from residents regarding the last phase of lighting to be installed on the Mound Road project. We have City Engineer Brent Bayshaw here to give an update on the status of that project.
Thank you, Ms. Bradley. Mayor Pro Tem Sarowski, good evening, council, and Mr. Koszybski, and everyone in the audience. Yeah, I'm here to discuss the street lighting on Mound Road and provide an update on the progress of the installation. Most of the street lighting has been installed with the project to date as new facilities with the latest LED technology. The street lights are located in the median, as shown in this picture below, which is a picture taken recently from on the median south of Metro Parkway. However, as you drive the corridor at night, you will notice a gap in the street lighting for a 1.5 mile section, which is from 14 Mile Road to the north, and I'd like to provide an update on the street lighting efforts on this section of roadway. So this section of roadway is a little different than others in that overhead utilities were located in the median. A typical wood pole would be used to support the franchise utility, the street lights, and oftentimes used to hang the traffic signals. The facilities on top of the pole were DTE electrical power, and moving down the pole were the communications franchise utilities such as Verizon, WOW, AT&T, MCI, Comcast, and others. As part of the Innovate Mound project, a large investment was made by the franchise utilities, an investment well in excess of $10 million. So new monopoles were erected on the east side of Mound Road, with franchise utilities transferring their services to the new lines and new equipment installed on these poles that replaced their own aging infrastructure. DTE is located on the top of the monopoles, and while the communication companies occupy underneath. So the improvement to Mound Road probably hasn't been highlighted enough, but provides significant power and communication service improvements to the area. And just for an example, the DTE improvements alone updated their subtrans network, which provides the bulk delivery and large load pockets to the area substations, and updated their distribution network to the newest specifications and standards. So this will make the system more reliable, provide better service to the area, including the industrial corridor, and provide for easier maintenance as well. Additionally, these monopoles helped organize the right-of-way of Mound Road to make room for all the improvements that were desired, including the new street lighting from north of 14 Mile Road. So getting back to the median north of 14 Mile Road, and this is a place that is not illuminated yet, all the franchise services needed to be transferred to the new lines on the monopoles, and the old lines and poles removed, which is commonly called wrecked out, to enable the installation of the light poles. So the good news is that all the services have now been transferred and only wreck out remains. Comcast was the last to transfer off, and they transferred off last week, and now they're in the stage of scheduling their wreck out. And that's the Comcast line right there. And once the Comcast line is wrecked out, the poles can be removed, and Wide Open West has a small segment to be wrecked out as well. Then once the wooden poles can be removed, we can move on to the final legs, which is installing the street lights. So DTE Lighting Group is willing and able to begin installation of the final poles. All the street light material has been ordered and is in stock. And additionally, all the underground conduit has already been installed, so it's anticipated the street lighting will take about 4 to 6 weeks to complete once it begins. DTE has been on standby and ready to perform. It's anticipated that this will occur late February, early March with the completion in April. Lastly, I'd like to quickly update another large street lighting project, which is underway in Sterling Heights, and that's the 3-mile stretch of Metro Parkway from Van Dyke to the easterly city limits, which is the bridge over the river. Work commenced in January on this project, and it's progressing, moving from Van Dyke to the east. The conduit crew has their installation past Dodge Park Road, and the pole crew just began last week. And near Van Dyke, they have some poles laid out, as you can see in this picture, and they will begin installing these poles and follow the conduit crew for the duration of the project. So look for this project to be completed in April as well. And wanted to thank you for taking your time to listen to this presentation. And I know, there have been some residents that have been concerned about the street lighting. So, I wanted to give an update, show the complexity of the street lighting, and note that we're almost there. So thanks everyone for their patience.
Thank you, Mr. Bayshot. Ms. Bradley?
Yes, thank you. And lastly, just with spring on the horizon, I would like to highlight that garden bed rentals at the Nelson Park Community Garden are open for Sterling Heights residents, with registration opening to non-residents on March 2nd. This welcoming community space offers in-ground, raised, ADA accessible, and children's garden beds, perfect for gardeners of all ages and experience levels. So for more information, you can visit our website at www.sterlingheights.gov. And that is all I have.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Bradley. And moving on, next we have, right, yeah, I know. Next we have Nice Neighbor Award presentations. I'm going to turn this over to Councilman Henry Yanez for the presentation. Mr. Yanez.
Well, thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Sarowski. So, it's great that we have so many caring people here in the city of Sterling Heights who always step up and help out. And in this particular case, we had a situation that involved Mr. Raymond Hernandez. Raymond? Hello? No, Raymond? And Mr. Eric Chiz? Eric? Anybody here? Anybody? Okay. Well, anyways, it was a concerned resident that reached out and asked the city if they could offer assistance to an elderly neighbor who was recovering from heart surgery. And due to his recovery, he was unable to maintain a vining tree in his backyard, causing it to grow and wrap around power poles along the perimeter of his property. The man tried to help trim it back himself, this elderly gentleman, but didn't have sufficient time or equipment to complete the job. And while this project was outside the scope of city programs like Shine, the man and his neighbors still needed assistance to get the situation under control. So Sterling Heights caseworker Mark reached out to Eric and Raymond for their expertise. The men evaluated the situation and decided on a course of action. And they removed the vining plant from the pole and hauled it away, leaving the resident with a much more manageable situation. So it was great that this elderly gentleman could not only receive help, but, use our city caseworker who stepped up. We have 2 city caseworkers who do fantastic work on behalf of our residents. And they were able to help this gentleman take care of his property. So we do have a course of action. Madam Mayor Pro Tem, if you'd like me to read it.
Yes, please.
The suggested course of action is present Eric Chiz and Raymond Hernandez with the Nice Neighbor Award for donating their time, gear, and expertise to help a resident in need. These professionals demonstrated the attributes of generosity and consideration that Sterling Heights values so highly, just the type of behavior that a Nice Neighbor Award aims to recognize.
Support.
So, okay, it's been moved and supported. Has there been any discussion other than that from council members?
Well, all I'd like to say is that, this is, we recognize folks with these nice neighbor awards, but, there's so many good people. I mean, we mentioned Shine in this program. So many people step up and help out with the 2 Shine Days that we have every year. And it's not uncommon for neighbors to help neighbors and for people to step up, but it is nice that we can occasionally offer up one of these special recognitions just to make sure that people know that there's some really great people out here in our city helping our neighbors. And so I'm glad we're able to recognize Raymond and Eric for the great work that they've done on behalf of this elderly gentleman.
Thank you, Mr. Yanis. Any other council members like to make comments? If not, we now can vote. It's been moved and supported. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, and motion does carry.
And neither gentleman are here, so
No, we'll hang on to that.
we'll
for
Mail it to him.
you make sure.
Yes, we will, just for the community, we are going to mail that out to the residents. Okay. Next on the agenda is our consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve?
Is there anybody that wants?
Excuse me. So I'm so sorry. Is there, it's been a day today. Has anyone in the community who would like to speak on the consent agenda as presented with item H removed to 8B? Hearing nothing from the community council. We need
Mayor
a
Pro
motion.
Tem.
Thank you, Mrs. Yarko.
Move to approve the consent agenda as amended.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, and motion carries. Thank you very much. Okay, now we move on to item 8A, and this is to consider an appointment to the City of Sterling Heights Board of Code of Appeals. Yeah, right. Is there anybody in the community that would like to make a statement at all? Hearing none. Council, we need a motion.
Madam Mayor Pro Tem,
Mr. Radke?
since the mayor is not here, I'd move to postpone this to the next regular city council meeting.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion does carry. Okay, thank you. So we'll deal with that at the next meeting. And now we are on to 8B, which was H of the consent agenda. So, let's go. And this is to approve a real estate purchase agreement between the City of Sterling Heights and Six Rivers Land Conservancy for real property commonly known as 37217 Utica Road with a purchase price of $770,000. $770,000. This is what happens when you get up at 4 in the morning for the last 3 weeks. I apologize. I need to go to bed. All right, I'm sorry? Okay, and who's going to present on this? Community?
Go to the audience, yeah.
Yep, okay. Community, do we have anyone that would like to speak on this motion to purchase this land? Oh, yes, okay, I'm going to take Mr. Nelson.
Taking me a little longer to get up here. Ken Nelson, Fire Steel Drive, Sterling Heights. Thanks for pulling this out, Mr. Radke. I appreciate it. As part of our so-called transparency that we have, to have this show up, purchase of another 13 acres. This looks like a parallel to the North Van Dyke property that everybody so much loves. 770,000. I think North Van Dyke was 640,000. 13 acres against 10 acres. So it just kind of hit me right off the bat that we're sitting here buying another 13 acres of land, which was voted for by the community to purchase property. I think you could be a little more transparent in what you're doing. The questions that I have in the purchase agreement, 13 acres of land, which was voted for by the community to purchase property. I think you could be a little more transparent in what you're doing. The questions that I have in the purchase agreement, 13 acres of land, which was voted for by the community to purchase property. I think you could be a little more transparent in what you're doing. The questions $770,000. I didn't get up at 4. $770,000, and it was determined, according to the agenda statement, it was determined that it was a fair price based on parcel strategic value. I don't have any problem with that whatsoever. In the purchase agreement, ahead of that, what is the property zoned currently? Is there a guarantee it won't be sold to a developer at a later time, once we purchase it? And I was just informed that the fact that we're going after a grant would put it in perpetuity. So, I've got an answer to that one. What is the facilitation fee and how much is it? Because it's a separate agreement that wasn't provided as backup material. Is it a big amount of money? Is it not a big amount of money? But it should have been shown. Also, in the purchase agreement, closing. Why are we closing of the transaction shall occur on or before September 1st, 2028? What's that? 2028. Those are some of the questions that I had on this. I understand that it's a wooded piece of property. It's across the street from our Rotary Park. In order to have access to that, if we wanted to go, I think it would require a pedestrian bridge of some sort, because you don't want to subject kids or anybody else to Hayes and Utica Road. That intersection would be a killer for people to cross. So just want to know what we're going to use it for. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Nelson. Lady in the back, please, or two ladies coming.
Hi, I'm Brooke Aker. This is my neighbor.
Diane Greer.
I live off of Gertrude Road. We built a house there 5 years ago, but I've lived in that property for 47 years. So I've seen all of the developments and all the awesome things that we do here in Sterling Heights. I've actually owned a business here in Sterling Heights. This is my community. I love it here. I am also asking those questions that he has transparency, because yes, I love that we want to buy greenery. We want to keep our cities awesome. I am very concerned that they're going to eventually be sold to a developer. So my question is how long and what's the long-term plan of this property? Also, if it does get sold to a developer, which the other property just down the street between, I think, where you live, I think, built a whole new project with about maybe 15 to 20 houses. The traffic on Utica Road is atrocious. We've had multiple car accidents, especially from where you're coming on Utica Road north. It goes down from 2 lanes down to 1. It's a dirt road there, which was where we live. There's a lot of fatal casualties there. So if we do buy this and then you guys decide to develop it and put apartment complexes, which has been kind of what's been happening here, if that all starts spitting out traffic onto Utica Road, we're going to have another nightmare. I mean, there's also, as I said, I know they're looking at developing other areas, but they're building an apartment complex in Clinton Township at Clinton River and Hayes, which again is going to cause a whole traffic jam. I know it's separate, but just what is the long-term care plan? We just want to make sure that we understand and the community knows what that property is going to be for a long-term plan. Again, to his point, being transparent, because I know that they want to also build with the canoeing place and make some other green areas there, but we just want to keep our community, the people that are actually paying taxes here, getting what, we want this community to be, is kind of what our concerns are.
Ditto.
Easy enough.
Thank you, ladies.
Said it all.
Appreciate you being here. Thank you so much. Anyone else in the community like to speak? Okay, close that portion. And can I please have a motion on this?
Yes, Madam Mayor Pro Tem.
Mr. Radke.
Resolved to approve the real estate purchase agreement between the City of Sterling Heights in the Six Rivers Land Conservancy for real property commonly known as 37217 Utica Road, Sterling Heights, Michigan, 48312, and authorize the city manager or his designee to sign, as applicable, all documents required in conjunction with this approval.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Counsel?
Yes, Madam Mayor Pro Tem?
Yes, Mr.
Through the chair to Kyle Langley, our Parks and Recreation Director. I think I can answer many of their questions, but I think a little bit of an overview of the project might be in order, and that might solve some of the problems.
Mr. Langley?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Sarowski. You know, this is really something that we've been talking about since we put the Pathway to Preservation, Play and Preservation millage on the ballot for our residents to vote on. And the goal was, quite frankly, to preserve property and preserve green space. So at the time, I know I shared that even though we have 31 parks, 1,000 acres of green space, we are in a deficit when compared to not only communities around us here in the state of Michigan, but certainly on a national average. So certainly an important part of that millage was to have the means to protect land in the city. I can't speak for the planning department, but this purchase specifically is created to preserve this land. There is some great benefit being that it is across from Rotary Park, where we're already developing a great park and working towards that end. But also we have property to the south over at 16 Mile Road. We know that the Freedom Trail runs along Metropolitan Parkway, and so there's some great opportunities for connections there. So this parcel has a lot of relevance, a lot of trees. There is the waterway that runs through it as well, so there is some great natural resource protection that we also want to provide with this land as well. Couple of the things that if I'm permitted, I would be happy to respond to if now's appropriate time. So the grant, as was noted by Mr. Nelson, so that is a Natural Resources Trust Fund grant. The facilitation fees that come with that really are the fact that we utilize a company like Six Rivers Land Conservancy to help lock up that land. We want that land. We want it to be our land. And so Six Rivers had the means to go and lock that land up for us and give us time to go through the grant process. No grant is ever a guarantee, which we know, but our friends at the DNR did share that this was a good piece of property for us to apply for a grant for. They recognize the importance with the trees, the natural resources that we're looking to protect, and so they recommended that we do proceed with going after a grant. For anybody who has followed with other natural resources trust fund grants, they are a long, arduous process. So we will not hear the grant application is due April 1st. The Natural Resources Trust Fund Board doesn't consider the grants and vote on the grants until December of 2026, and then we got to wait for the Michigan legislature to vote on a budget to even release the funds later down the road. So there is a facilitation fee to hold this property for us as we attempt to go after a grant. The financial benefit to the city would be hundreds of thousands of dollars if we do get a grant, which then will allow us to leverage some additional funds from the Pathway to Play and Preservation millage account to buy even more land to protect throughout Sterling Heights. So we know we have a deficit. We know we have some key areas that we want to key on, and so this really is step one, I guess, in that process, if that makes sense. The reason for the closing in 2028, again, is to provide us time to go through that grant process with the assumption that we are going to be granted the grant. Again, no guarantees that that's the case, but we needed to write the purchase agreement so that there is coverage for the city and Six Rivers Land Conservancy to go through the process and navigate that.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Langlois.
Yes, I think you've answered all the questions. One thing I would like to point out is when we were originally talked about this property, we talked about linkages to the bike trail, both behind the Freedom Trail on 16 Mile Road and the possible future bike trail behind the 15.5-mile relief drain. Essentially behind Freedom Hill, it'd be a way to connect Rotary Park to this system for kayaking and everything else. So I'm very happy that we got this. I think we got it at a very good price, because from what I remember, it was listed at over $1 million. At $770,000, that's a considerable savings. And I'll also say, I appreciate Six Rivers Land Conservancy working with us as essentially a stalking horse to help us acquire these properties, because it's arduous. I know we went through a couple of these. We did one for a transitional, and then we did another grant. These grants take forever with the State Natural Resources Commission. So I'm fully in favor of this. I think it's going to be a tremendous property. I think it's going to add to our parks and help us create that trail system that we've been advocating for years. I see no problem with this purchase, and I'm glad that we could leverage the Natural Resources Trust Fund to hopefully buy even more property for the people of Sterling Heights. That's all I have, Madam Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mr. Radke. Mr. Majek.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Kyle, thank you for coming here today. Very interesting proposal here. So we're approving $770,000 from PPP mileage. Is that right, Kyle? Or Kyle? That's correct.
Yes,
To the
Mr.
chair.
Levine.
That is the purchase price for the property.
Okay, and then the state grant, I did the math. 70% of that is about $540,000 that we'll get back, hopefully at a future date. So our cost would be $230,000 roughly.
It would be $230,000 plus the incidentals of interest for Six Rivers to hold the property until we go through the process. There is a cost to do that, so that would be part of it. But all said and done, we would be net positive money if in fact we did get the
Wonderful.
grant.
I support this. I'm voting for this. But, you know, I'd like to add a comment in here, and this is just for some of the folks that came here and maybe watching at home. I think what some of the residents think about when it comes to the PPP millage is to make sure that anytime we're using money from that tax, part of that tax that was passed, they want a guarantee, you know, as close as 100% as possible if we're using that money to purchase land to preservation in the future, that can't be in any way, shape, or form sold to developers or processed in a way that is different from what we're doing, so.
And that is certainly one of the reasons why the grant is a great avenue as well, because that does encumber the land as park property in perpetuity, you know, forevermore, if we do that. But, you know, as we went through the process of going through the millage process, that was certainly a concern from our residents, and we heard that about what we would do with that property. And it was our commitment that any land purchased with PPP millage money was going to be to protect it and to use it for green space. Not to say that it can't be used to help spur some park developments, but our goal is really to keep green space, to provide opportunities for trees, for natural plantings, to continue to protect our green space around the city instead of seeing more
Wonderful.
development.
Thank you, Kyle.
Yes.
Thank you, Madam
Thank you,
Mayor.
Yep, thank you, Mr. Majek. Anybody else? Mr. Yanes.
Thank you, Mayor, Madam Mayor Pro Tem. So first of all, I'll just say, I've been asking the city since I've been on city council to consider purchasing this piece of property. I will say, I live in the area. I live at Plumbrook and Utica, and I've walked, not that I was trespassing, but I've walked that property many times. I used to do a cleanup in the Plumbrook Creek before Mrs. Miller sent her awesome machines over there to actually clean up. We literally had cleanup days and move all the trees that had fallen into the Plumbrook drain by hand. So I've literally walked it from the back of my property all the way to the Red Run Drain. It is an incredibly beautiful piece of property. It's amazing. I've always seen these, I'm not a deer hunter, but I've seen these pictures of 5 bucks standing there. You know, I thought, well, this is somebody's fantasy. No, I walked back there one day and there were 5 bucks standing around, just hanging out back there. So this is a great piece of property. It is a very natural, you almost don't feel like you're in Sterling Heights when you're standing back there. I will also say, so ladies in the back, as long as I live, they will not be building anything on there. I also want to say that, I lost my train of thought, I'm sorry. We do, through the chair, oh geez, I don't know who to ask. Through the chair to whoever wants to answer it, I'm assuming that our sidewalk on that side of Utica Road will eventually go all the way down to that piece of land? Anybody? Bueller? That's okay. I'm sure somebody can answer that for me.
We can work on that.
We'll get back to you. We'll get back to me. Okay, very good. The other thing is that property, even though it's 13 acres, there's only a couple acres that are actually buildable. It's actually a bit of a steep drop-off as you come through the tree line off of Utica Road. So there are a couple acres. I mean, I think the Chaldean Community Foundation is, the North Van Dyke property, they're only looking at 2 acres to build an apartment complex on, so I guess technically you could do that. But the people who came up here and spoke is absolutely, that intersection's a disaster. It's really bad. We have had a fatality there, people coming off of Hayes, turning onto Utica, hitting that gravel patch and spinning out. So it's really bad. I am very concerned, and Mr. Langloyd doesn't like me to say this, but I'm going to go ahead and say it anyways. I would much rather see the playscape that's in Rotary Park moved once we get our hands on that property over to the side where the sidewalk is going to be. So children and families can walk to the playscape and not have to cross Utica Road. Sorry about the folks on Gertrude, but you understand what I'm saying. It is a day. Yeah.
Madam Mayor Pro Tem.
Unfortunately, we cannot have back and forth, but it's
That's
okay.
okay.
I understand this is important to you, but unfortunately, just hold on, hold.
I
Thank
get what
you.
you're saying, and we can talk after if you want to as well. So let me ask a couple of questions. And first of all, the other thing I'd like to say, I think that property at one point was listed for like 2 or 2.5 million at one time. It was under control of another real estate company for many years. New real estate company came up, and I remember looking at it, and it was a very expensive piece of property, and it just, I think it's zone C something.
It's zone multifamily right now.
It's multifamily?
Multifamily,
Okay.
RM3, I believe.
Okay. So through the chair to the city attorney, a couple of things. Explain exactly what the facilitation fee is.
Well, we can ask the Six Rivers representative that's here if you'd like to.
That'd be fantastic.
Oh, we didn't know you were here.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem, council members, city staff, and all of our guests this evening. I'm Brian Marzoff. I'm the Land Protection Manager with Six Rivers Land Conservancy. Very excited about this opportunity and happy to be here. So just to answer a couple of questions for full transparency, the facilitation fee was $9,750. City Manager Vanderpool, who's watching, hired us to do the facilitation of this process for him. Half down to start, and then when we close on the property, which would be in 2 years, the other half. So that would be the facilitation fee. So I want to make sure that we're all clear on that. It's not part of the purchase fee of $770,000, which, by the way, I want to mention that was done by a qualified appraiser who's worked with us for many years, and that offer is not a penny more than the fair market value in the appraisal.
Very good, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you very much, Brian.
You're welcome.
One more.
Oh, I'm so sorry, honey.
One more, that's okay, one more. And then through the chair to the city attorney, I think you got this one. Explain the difference between, well, we have a land bank, right? And so we are looking at buying property to put into the land bank, but we're also getting a grant from the state, a land trust grant. So is this land going to technically be a city park, or is it going to be land owned by the city held in the land bank?
That's a great question.
I stumped you twice in one night.
You know what?
Fantastic. And you have a law degree.
It's true. Last I checked. So first off, the purchase, the trust money that's coming in will preserve this as passive recreational at best land. It'll be, I don't know, it'll be considered a full park. That'll be a question whether or not it'll be added to our master land use plan. Look at Mr. Langley for that answer. But the idea here is that the purchase price of this land for the 770 with the money coming back from the grant will be used to A, preserve it forevermore as this green space, an open space, and B, leverage the dollars coming from the trust to allow us to use other PPP money for other projects. So it gives us a more bang for the buck. At the end of the day, this is like how we've done most of our parkland in Sterling Heights. We've gone through a land trust, so we get the parks. There are parks, but they're preserved. We can't change that land from a parkland without going through a major process, which would be what we did recently for a conversion, where we have to add the similar or same amount of parkland to offset it if we were gonna ever do anything differently. There will not be apartments here, if that's what you're asking.
I'm not asking that, other than what I'm really concerned about is, or my question really comes down to the land bank, which is us getting property. It's like putting money in the bank and then using it for something later down the road, right? I think the land bank's the same way. We purchase property, we hold on to it when something useful, or we determine useful, comes up, we can use that land. Is that correct? Land bank?
We don't have, land bank is a term of art. So you have land banks where you have the ability to get money to put into a land bank, which you then use that money to purchase land. But a land bank, in the way you're talking about, is owning property. There's no, this isn't what you would call a legal land bank.
They call it the land bank. They should create a land bank.
We're purchasing property to protect it.
I got you. I'm clear. That's all I have, Mayor Pro Tem.
You're good. Anybody else? Oh, Mrs. Ziarko?
Yeah, it's me.
Yeah. I was getting
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem.
Get to the mayor.
I have a couple of questions. First of all, I think the one question that wasn't answered that the residents asked was, how is this zoned right now? Do we know how it's zoned through the chair?
Multifamily.
Multifamily? Okay, that's one thing. The other is, for grants. I know that we're applying for the Michigan Natural Resources Trust Fund. Can we apply for more than one grant for a parcel? And does this qualify for like the Ralph C. Wilson Foundation money that's put aside for, like the park in Detroit, where it is for, well, either recreation or preservation? And could we apply for more money from somewhere else?
May I, Mr. Langler?
Through the chair.
Yes.
The answer is yes. We can apply for multiple grant opportunities for the same parcel of property, and we can, if we happen to get approved for multiples, we could pick which one works best for us. There are other grants through the Land and Water Conservation Fund, for example, through the federal government that are for properties that are heavily wooded, like this property is, that it requires at least a 60 or 70% tree canopy on it to be able to be eligible. So there are other grants out there that we're going to be continuing to look at with our grant writers through Wade Trim to try and go after. So any opportunity to get money is good. If we can achieve a grant through a different source and get that money faster than the Michigan Natural Resources Trust Fund, that's a benefit to the city as well, because then we can bring that property into city ownership faster and save money on any interest by Six Rivers holding onto the property for us until we were to go through that process. And there's probably other viable grant options out there. Ralph C. Wilson, I will not claim to be an expert, but a lot of the Ralph C. Wilson funds are really geared towards development of parks into a park space for access, for recreational uses, for trails, so on and so forth. So, but we would have to have the property in hand before we can generally leverage those funds. So, to my knowledge, I know we're going after Ralph C. Wilson funds for some other projects throughout the city as well. So we're looking in a lot of directions to leverage grant funds.
Because there's a lot of money there.
There is.
There's a lot of money, and they're putting it all over. I mean, from here to Buffalo. And then you mentioned the Freedom Trail. I was out there today. We're gonna need some work, maintenance this year. A lot of times we can go, but it's ruts and everything else, and, but it was pretty dry.
Is that the gravel one?
Yes,
Okay,
behind Freedom Hill.
okay,
Okay?
yes.
Nothing further.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Zarko. Mr. Majak
Yeah,
wants a
thank you
second bite
again.
at the apple here.
Thank you so much. Through the chair to whoever can answer us, maybe our city attorney, says here the closing on this shall occur before September of 2028, so
Correct.
by that time, we'll have that process completed.
Yes, Mr. Langler already talked about this issue. The timeline for the grant could take into 2027, really, to get, so by putting the 28 end date, it gives us time for any contingency for how long that grant process might take.
Okay, and as those have mentioned earlier, this is already zoned R3 multifamily. So in this process, if it's completed positively and we go through everything, are we gonna change the zoning for this then? What would be that step? Because I think residents would want to see that happen as well, right? If this is gonna go into our parks, right? It's not gonna be multifamily anymore, so.
We don't have a zoning for parks, though.
I'm sorry?
We don't have a zoning for parks.
Well, we shouldn't have it zoned R3, should we?
It won't matter.
It won't
because It
matter.
won't be able to be used for R3.
Okay,
Grant will lock it.
Mayor,
Grant will lock that in.
okay, thank you.
I changed my mind.
Okay, Mrs.
sorry.
Schmidt, that's fine.
Through the chair to Mr. Langles, what is our contingency plan if, God forbid, we don't get the grant?
We have the funds through the PPP millage to purchase.
Okay.
So, really, December is kind of our first, I guess, calendar date that we're interested in. If at that point, the Natural Resources Trust Fund Board says, doesn't score high enough, we're not recommending this for approval, then we turn around and leverage all of our PPP funds to, not all, sorry. It would just come solely out of PPP millage funds at that point in time.
Okay, so we do have the funds to cover it if, for whatever reason, the grant does not go through?
Correct. And
Okay.
so at that point, if they say, yes, we're recommending it for purchase, then we know at that point, I won't say again, state legislature's done some interesting things recently, but generally speaking, all of those projects that get recommended then get funded. It just takes time. We have to wait for the state legislature to pass their state budget, which we've seen has been June, we've seen it be October, we've seen it be even later. So that, again, goes to why we have a 2028 date on there, just to be prepared for any of that.
Kind of like waiting for our 70% off coupon in the mail.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Yes.
All right, nothing further.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Schmidt. So just to clarify, Mr. Langley, while you're standing there, if, as Mrs. Schmidt said, heaven forbid, we don't get the original grant, we use our money to purchase that, we can still apply for other grants. At that point, as you said, with like the other park opportunities, if we wanted to further develop, or there may be other grants, wetland grants or whatever we need to look at as well.
Yeah, correct. If we were going to develop, we can apply for grants to develop. I think we will also be looking at and applying for other grants simultaneously for the purchase of it, because those grants are out there. So
Right.
we're not locking ourselves, putting all of our eggs in the Natural Resources Trust Fund basket. We're going to look at all available options, so.
And just to try to comfort some of the residents, if we do other grants, how would we go about, and this might be through to Mr. Koszybski as well, making sure that it still does not allow for development on that land? The grant may do that.
The grant may provide that. There are opportunities to put conservation easements on it through the state of Michigan. That's a different process, but there are ways to go about that as well. And, once it becomes a piece of park land per our master plan, it's really kind of where it lies and, at that point as well. So, but I think if we're looking for formal ways to do it, certainly we can do a conservation easement if we don't have a grant that stipulates otherwise.
And that would be on us to apply for that. Okay, thank you very much.
Right, is a deed.
Yep, through, right, and the deed as well. Thank you so much. Okay, I do not have any further questions, council. This has been moved and supported, so all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, and this motion does carry. Thank you very much, everybody. Now we move on to communications from citizens. Is there anyone in the community, in the audience, that would like to make any comments to council? Yes, Mr. Nelson, come forward, please.
Okay, this one is probably a little different request. First of all, the first one is, I think the city requires us to get down our Christmas lights. And I notice our Christmas lights are still up. I want to know why. Okay, I'm here to request a slot on the March 3rd meeting agenda to make a presentation entitled Free Speech in Public Meetings versus Sterling Heights Governing Body Rules and Procedure. Rule 5 in particular, citizen communications. The presentation will be no longer than 15 minutes. Attachments that I would like to see on the agenda would be what's hopefully going to get handed out to you. I have backup material called Free Speech in Public Meetings, and also the City of Sterling Heights Governing Body Rules of Procedure. If there is no procedure to cover my request, let me know what I have to do to accomplish my goal. I'm looking at this as being a resident to the public, which I think I have the right to do. Okay, so that's my request. And I would like to know if that is going to be a possibility before I leave tonight, or what are we going to do with it? It will be done, no matter, either right now or in the very near future. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Nelson. Anybody else out in the audience? Okay, that closes this portion of our meeting and moves on to reports from city administration and city council. Mr. Koszybski, anything tonight?
Nothing further.
Okay, very good, thank you. Ms. Bradley, anything more tonight?
Nothing further.
Thank you. Anyone from council like to make some comments or?
Mayor Pro Tem.
Mrs. Schmidt?
Thank you. I'll keep it brief. I just want to make mention and commend our police officers, especially Officer Jacob Lopez and Brendan Harrison. They took it upon themselves to befriend a family in need that was here from Iron Mountain with a sick child, and moved very quickly in helping them get some funds to help them. And it just progressed. The next day, the entire department was involved and businesses within the community. And, you know, you hear the bad things about police officers sometimes. This is one of the most remarkable stories. And actually, Officer Lopez walked in the same shoes as their little boy and was able to give them comfort and show them that there is light at the end of the tunnel for him. And there is a chance and hope. And that family from Iron Mountain, Michigan, all the way down to Sterling Heights for months for treatment for their little boy while they had other children back up at school in Iron Mountain. So I commend our entire force, but those two officers in particular deserve our indebted gratefulness for what they have done for this family and for our community, because a GoFundMe actually was put together, I'm not sure by whom, but it is by far exceeded what they started out as their goal too. So this is an amazing community and we have amazing employees, and I just wanted to take time to give them my kudos and thanks.
Yeah, thank you, Mrs. Schmidt. I'll comment on that as well, just briefly. They do a great job. Anybody else? Mr. Yanis, you look like you might want to say something.
Well, I wasn't planning on, but now that you called on me.
You were looking like you were ruminating, so I was thinking maybe.
Yeah, you know, just, this is Black History Month, and this coming next Monday, we have the Sterling Heights African American Coalition is having their annual Black History Month dinner. It's a great event. We have a troupe of students from Wayne State University are going to come and put on a skit or a play. We have a great speaker, and the food is always great. You know, we are a city that has open arms for everybody. Everybody here is welcome. The African American Coalition is a group of people who are outstanding people in the community. Many of them lived here for more than 20 years. So many of them are professionals in their areas of expertise. And for a long time, before we started this coalition, I think a lot of people from the African-American community didn't feel, even though they lived here, they never really felt part of our city. And because of this coalition that was built and the work that they've done, they've really expanded and grown. And just this dinner is a celebration of Black History Month, but it's also a celebration of our friends and neighbors who are from the African-American community. So I encourage everybody, dinner starts at 6, or the event starts at 6 o'clock. You can, I think tickets, Melanie left, I think are $35.
That's right.
Ish. And you can, if you want a ticket, you can get a hold of Community Relations here at City Hall, and I encourage everybody to come. So, thank you for.
You look like you had something on your mind.
And you're right, I did, and now I've said it.
Okay, good. Anybody else have any comments? Mr. Radke?
Yeah, I want to completely agree with Councilman Yanas. This dinner that they've done every year for Black History Month has grown exponentially. It was smaller the first year. It was bigger last year. It's going to be even bigger this year. For years, the council and members of the community would leave Sterling Heights to do a dinner like this for African American History Month or MLK Day. And now we have created a group of super volunteers, because they're really donating all their time and all their work to create something that's just here in Sterling Heights for all of us. And it's a wonderful event. They had an art thing last year. They had a short play. They had a short movie. They had really good food. It was a tremendous community event, and I would urge people at home to check it out. And I'm so glad that we have these great citizen-led groups here that donate their time to make our city a better place. So I hope to see you there. And then also, we have the cultural exchange coming up, which is another great event that showcases all of the different cultures and ethnic groups that live in Sterling Heights, and is can't miss for both the food, even though it's always on a Friday and I never can eat the meat. But it's tremendous for the food and for the performances, and it really shows just how many cultures make up our vibrant community here in Sterling Heights. So I'd urge everyone to attend that too. That's all I have, Madam Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mr. Radke. Mrs. Yarko?
Mayor Pro Tem, you know what, I'm going to pile on. I'm glad that Mr. Yanis and Mr. Radke brought this up. But you know what, it isn't just the African American Coalition. I mean, when we talk about the ethnic community as well, it's getting volunteers, and when you empower your volunteers to make the decisions and bring what their ideas to you, we're all better for it, because they come up with things that we might not even think about, and when they present them, they become successful. And I don't even know how they're going to top last year's presentation at the African American Coalition dinner, or the Black History Month, because it was a learning experience. It wasn't just to come there and eat. They made sure that when you left, you learned more about the African-American community and history. And last year was with Pullman cars, wasn't it? Right. It was the Pullman cars. So I don't know how they're going to top it, because it was really, really good. So, think about it. If you're not doing anything on Monday night, we would love to have you there. So nothing further.
Thank you, Mrs. Yarko. Anybody else? Okay, very good. Well, I'm just going to do couple brief comments. Very excited to hear that we are again sponsoring and supporting and now hosting the art fair for the Utica Community Schools. I did art and art fairs my entire childhood up through college in Lansing, and it was always at the Lansing Civic Center, which is the biggest building in the entire city for like a conference room center. And it's nice that we can do that here at our city to support it. So I'm very happy, and I'm going to be going to see it. And I'm very excited to see how all of the youth, and they're amazing artists. They look, many of them are professionally ready to go. And so I'm so excited to see how well they do. Another thing that's going to be exciting, and some of you don't remember, but most of us here do, the 1976, when we had the 200 years of our country. And I was in 6th grade. And I remember it, we lived and breathed it. Boy, that was something really big and exciting. So now to have 250 years, which of course ages me tremendously, but that is another extremely wonderful milestone in this great American experiment that we are. So not only are we having the banners, but we will have activities, and please participate with the activities. And yes, our country is a group of very opinionated and strong-willed people that makes us great Americans. Sometimes we do not always agree, but we can always agree that America is the best place to live, and I think that we need to celebrate that this year. And on that note, call a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Support.
And thank you, everybody. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, and the meeting is closed. Thank you. Have a good night.